I find these new Big Ten matchups fascinating with the old guard standing up against the new entries from the Pac-12. We had such a matchup, of course, with Washington taking on Iowa as a 2.5-point dog on the road. Let's get to it right here at the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you stopping by for the best in discussion, debate, and analysis. Please like and subscribe. Here we go. Iowa rolls 40-16. It was a really good ball game for 3 quarters. Then the Hawkeyes took control. A lot of Caleb Johnson and a lot of defense, especially in the red zone for the Hawkeyes in this one. 3 and out for Iowa right out of the gate. Where have we heard that before? Thaddeus Dixon with a nice pass breakup on Vanderzee on 3rd down. Iowa punted effectively, of course, down to the Washington 12. Then Will Rogers went to work. First drive of the game, he goes 75 yards. There was a flea flicker at one point. Deshaun Lee should have been called for pass interference there. Will Rogers did underthrow the ball. That could have been a huge gain for Washington. They converted anyway. Kalecki Latu had a 3rd down completion where he just completely blew past Sebastian Castro and put some other poor Iowa defender on his back as well. Washington really clicking on offense early in this ball game. Again, a 75-yard drive, but it bogged down in the red zone. That Iowa red zone defense, and Y.A. Black with a blocked field goal. Grady Gross, the Washington kicker, has missed 7 field goals this season. They are not good. Of course, they missed 3 in losing to Rutgers by 1 point. Or losing 21-18 in that game. 14 plays, 73 yards, nothing to show for it. Iowa takes over, 12th rushing attack in the nation, despite that effort at Ohio State that was less than stellar on the ground, as Caleb Johnson, for the first time this year, bottled up in that one when it counted. Iowa's also 12th in the nation in rushing yardage per carry. That's impressive. All right, the Iowa scoring drive to make this one a 7-0 game. 9 plays, 80 yards. Caleb Johnson scored. He scored the touchdown. He also had 40 of the 80 yards, but he also had contributions here from Kamari Moulton with a 16-yard gain. And Caden Wetchin had an 11-yard run as, of course, Iowa went to the ground on 8 of 9 plays. They did have 1 effective first down conversion with Luke Lachey catching the football. 7-0 football game at this point. Okay. Washington keeps driving. Will Rogers, 23 of 34 on the day, completed a ton of short passes. Will Rogers, consummate professional, not a great arm talent, but he will earn a paycheck in the NFL. I have little doubt. 3rd and 1. This shows the Iowa defense and how sound it is. They had Rogers contained. They had the read option contained in regards to the running back and the possible give to the running back. Rogers rolls out. He's pressured. They also covered up all the receivers. He had nowhere to go on 3rd and 1. But then they bring in, Washington does, their changeup quarterback, Damon Williams, who runs that read option more effectively on the 4th and 1 and sprints for 17 yards. That leads to a touchdown pass from Will Rogers to Denzel Boston, who beat Deshaun Lee to the pylon. Beautifully thrown football to the corner. We got a 7-7 ball game at that point. Will Rogers, though, on the next drive, strip sacked by Iowa. So they're in prime position to take a touchdown lead. However, the Iowa offense, with that golden field position, 3 plays, no yards. They kick the field goal. They go up 10-7. All right, key swing in the ball game here was when Caden Wetchin on the exchange of the punts is key in any Iowa football game that results in a win. They pinned Washington deep. The Iowa defense held them right there. They get the punt back, and Wetchin goes for 37 yards, sets up short field position at the 35, and then you've got when Cam Fabaculin leaves the game, one of the best Washington linebackers, especially in coverage, Caleb Johnson. Nice little play where they swung him out on the swing pass to the right. He was coming from the left side. Dump it off to Caleb Johnson. He's too fast for the Washington secondary, and we've got a 17-7 game at that point as we went to intermission, I believe, at 20-10. And Iowa put together another field goal drive at 23-10. And this is really where the game was won. 3rd and 9, Washington to start the second half, drives all the way down the field. They put together another 70-plus yard drive, but Jamari Harris steps in front of Boston, who is one of the nation's leading touchdown receivers with 9. That catch he had against Deshaun Lee was touchdown number 9. But Jamari Harris, Red Will Rogers, stepped out in front, picked it off, 46 yards, that he takes it back to the 46-yard line. Field goal for Iowa, 23-10. Game shouldn't be over at that point. Washington's got a good offense. They've got weapons. Jonah Coleman in the backfield ran extremely hard, but we know it's Iowa. And how about this stat? Iowa, according to Fox Sports, 28-0 when they scored at least 21 points dating back to 2020. The game was over. Washington had driven to this point 75 yards, 73 yards, 58 yards, 52 yards, 34 yards on drives, and only gave up 10 points. Did the Iowa defense. The red zone defense was remarkable. They had a sack from Max Llewellyn on a third down that stopped the next drive. And then on 4th and 11, Washington felt that they needed to go for it. They were around midfield. Again, 4th and 11 down 23-10. Ridiculous catch off the rebound by the wide receiver for Washington, but did not get a foot in bounds. And that was the backbreaker, I believe. Again, against this defense. But if that wasn't, well, more Caleb Johnson, 21 carries for $166. And I got to say that Caleb Johnson has somewhat proven me wrong. Not that I never thought that he was not a talented back, just he's proven to be a more physical back. And maybe he just is a more physical back than he was last season and in previous seasons. Iowa defense stops Washington on a 4th and 4 with 13 minutes left at the Washington 35. The completed pass, but as we see against the Iowa defense on so many occasions, you can complete the passes, but they tackle in space, and they tackle you at the 3.5-yard mark when you need 4 yards to get the first down. Excellent coverage. Keep the ball, keep the play in front, make the tackle. There you go. That was game, set, or match for sure at the 13-minute mark at 23-10. And Iowa took it away from there for the win at 40-16 again. The Hawkeyes move their record to 4-2. They've got one loss in the Big Ten, of course. They go to Michigan State next week. And for Washington, game, set, and match in the Big Ten, you got to think at 1-2, 2-2 in the Big Ten. They got 2 losses in the conference. I referenced the loss to Rutgers on the road. Washington at 4-3. They've got a date coming up in 2 weeks against Indiana. That should be another intriguing matchup again. Old guard, new guard, and with Indiana playing much better football, that will be their game against the Huskies as Washington travels again. And this is another example. 2 time zones, another loss for a Big Ten team traveling in 2 time zones. Your record is now 1-9. Look out, Penn State and Ohio State later in the day. We welcome you to the Voice of College Football. Please like the video and subscribe. The Amazon links in the description section of all the videos, including this one. Why do you need to know that? That's the one way you can financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Why send Amazon trillions? That's what they're worth. Out of $1, you send 3, 4, 5 cents to the Voice of College Football. Please use the Amazon link. It does not mess with your account in any way. It still gives you full credit history, all of that instantaneously. Please use the Amazon link right here at the Voice of College Football.